Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is still your number one financial newsroom. You call it The Money Show. Joining me right now is Tope Fasua, the CEO at Global Analytics, and we're looking at the CBN's currency review. Of course, matters are rising. It's almost 2 weeks now since the central bank governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, announced the Project Cure. Of course, I shouldn't start introducing what that means. It's been in the news for the last 2 weeks. So, Mr. Fasua, good morning, and thank you for joining us today again.
Good morning, Nancy.
How are you doing?
Good morning, viewers. I'm okay, thank you. I have a slight cold, so I speak through my nose today.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I wish you just get well.
Thank
Anyway,
you
the weather has been so cool here in Abuja due to the rains. All right, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
On the 23rd of August, Sanusi Lamido briefed financial journalists. I was there. I listened to him firsthand, and he came up with, okay, the central bank has the Project Cure, which it wants to do. It wants to upgrade our, the CBN wants to upgrade our currency with added security features, with also features that will enable the fiscally challenged to identify different currencies, to introduce more coins into the system. Since the last restructuring in 2005, when 1,000 naira was introduced, and the polymer notes in 2009, the central bank thinks that it's time to restructure. For the past 2 weeks, I've had different debates. I've had different people here, different economists, and it opened up my eyes that, is it that every economist has his own theory?
Certainly.
Probably,
yes.
Okay. It opened up my eyes to that. I've also heard officials of the central bank. The Deputy Governor Tunde Lemon was with me here last week. But, Mr. Fasua, tell me what you think. Okay. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are not that popular for now, but I think it's basically logical. I think that, like you said, every economist is entitled to their own opinion. They have their own opinions and so on. I think that the hoopla that's been generated by the policy is not particularly warranted. However, it is good for some reasons. And I think that a lot of the reasons that have been adduced against the policy, well, do not quite hold water. So I probably will say this way. People have said that the policy, bringing 5,000 notes, will cause inflation, for example. And you begin to wonder, just how is it going to cause inflation? Okay, is it just by having 5,000 naira around as notes and so on, it's going to cause inflation? Not quite. Okay, maybe would it reduce inflation if we cancelled the 1,000 naira note and the 500 naira note and we use maybe maximum of 200 naira notes? Will inflation reduce? I don't think so, right? Yeah, so by bringing 5,000 naira notes, it doesn't necessarily have to infuse inflation into the economy. But I'm coming, there are some caveats. So then if you look at the lower end of the spectrum, by removing, by making 5 naira, 10 naira, and 20 naira into coins, is that going to cause inflation? Yes, there's a tendency, must be admitted, because at that end of the spectrum, okay, there's a tendency for people to say, oh no, we don't want to accept these coins, they'll give it, and then there's also this idea by which people want to take advantage of a certain policy or of the ignorance of a people of a certain policy and then make some extra profit. In which case, a bus ride that costs you 30 naira, maybe the taxi driver or the bus driver wants to move it up to 50 naira because that's the next note, because it says, look, he holds the coins in disdain. And then, however, whose duty is it to fight back? Just as Nigerians went on the streets in January to fight fuel subsidy, then Nigerians should be able to fight down or to cooperate, okay, and also to fight down the bus driver who intends to take advantage of them.
Who doesn't want to take coins?
Who doesn't want to take coins? So why would you not want to take coins?
So what you're saying is that we should begin to accept coins as our way of life.
We'll get there. Certainly. I've been to a few countries in my time, and in all the countries I've been to, all of them without exception, there are coins in circulation, and there's a reason for that. See, we cannot reinvent the wheel. The wheel is round, Now, is it the currency systems of the world have been such that there'll be coins and then there'll be notes?
Good.
Right? We cannot say, oh, we're Nigerians, we're so special. And let me tell you one thing. I was once in the UK, and I was in the midst of a group of Nigerians who needed to change some coins. They needed to give each other like £3 each. They gave me £100 to go to Barclays to change for them into coins. And then I went there, I changed the money into coins, and they decided to give each other £3 each in coins. Okay, that tells you that Nigerians leave this place and we go outside and we respect the coins of other countries. And then we come to our country and say, oh, you know, it's rubbish. We can't take our own coins. Why not, if not? Okay, so, I mean, and then if you go abroad, you know, you see the way Nigerians quarrel to get their coins from whoever is holding those coins, whoever needs to give them change in those currencies. All right, so, of course, there are many things that CBN needs to put in place. And like I said before, the noise that has been generated over this is good for some reasons. Because finally, we're getting to a point where government agencies now need to understand that, okay, there's a need to consider the thinking of the people, okay, that we're more connected more than ever. All right, by the time in 2009, 2005, when the 1000 was brought in, 2005, 2009, the truth is this, that the level of interaction amongst Nigerians is not as much as today. The way information flows, okay, in the twinkle of an eye, it wasn't as much as today.
The feedback mechanism wasn't like this.
Exactly. Government will be put under immense and more immense pressure over each and every of its policy. So there are a few things for the government to do. Number one, the government must realize that they must continue to promote good education and unity amongst the people. Otherwise, you're going to bring out some policies, okay, which is good for the people, and the people will say, even we don't want that policy, despite the fact that we know it's good for us. So people are angry. People are angry on the streets just for any.
Why do you think people are angry?
Oh, wow. There are many reasons. They see, it's only someone that will delude himself that will say everything is working in Nigeria.
So probably because of the anger.
I have, you know, I mean, like the former CBN governor, Professor Soludo, has been writing a series of articles recently, you know, which he mentions the fact that, look, these figures that we bandy about, the GDP growth figure and all that, can you really believe it? And I'm wondering, okay, well, he was there for 5 years, but he made us believe those figures. But, okay, so the point is that everybody knows that those figures don't translate, okay? They don't translate into the nitty-gritty, into moving people away from poverty. I was in Lagos on Friday, and a truckload of, like, some people coming back from the airport with a lot of tagged bags and so on. They had to charter a truck to load those bags. And I had to voice out, you know, and the driver that was taking me said, no, it may not be, maybe like clothes or whatever they have in there. That could be money, or that, you know, that these people are thieves. That, you know, so people are angry on the streets. But the first indictment is to the government of the day. Mr. Ruben Abati, the presidential spokesman, wrote an article recently in which he actually indicted Nigerians, young Nigerians, who he said they are uninformed, they are unintelligent, that they are children of anarchy or children of anger. Okay, and he said they're always on Facebook. And whatever, and then they're abusing the president. Forgetting that Facebook is driven by content. As much as you have bad content, you have good content. As much as you have people who don't support the president, you have people who support the president as well. But when a presidential spokesman makes such a statement to the extent that Nigerian children are children of anger, then he probably would actually get the wrong, and he hasn't apologized yet, as far as I know. So you see, people are angry on the streets, and when you're bringing out a policy, you have to understand that yes, people are angry, and you know you have to provide for that anger. And the way to manage people who are angry is not to talk back on them. Okay, I always say that every policy is bad if the people are disunited. Okay, but when the people are united, people will work towards making the policy great. Any policy will come in any other country, and people will just okay, you know, I mean, if it's for the good of the country. All right. In this instance now, this is monetary policy we're talking about. Very few people have the amount of information to actually understand monetary policy the way they would in central bank, except we're saying we should cancel the central bank so that Nigeria becomes the only country in the world without a central bank. Or maybe we become like maybe our francophone neighbors whose central bank is in France. Maybe we want to transfer our own central bank back to the UK so that they make the monetary policy for us and we don't have a choice. But if you believe there's a structure an economy must take, then yes, let the central bank do its job.
Mr. Fasua, let's look at the specifics now. You've talked about it will not cause inflation, so I wouldn't go there.
Yes.
Isn't it?
It will not cause inflation just by the fact that you introduce 5,000. It may cause inflation at the lower end of the spectrum if we do not, first of all, educate ourselves properly to know that there's nothing wrong in taking coins, to know there's benefit in taking coins. If we do not, as people who are in this economy, if we do not fight anybody who wants to take advantage of that policy, then you can see a situation where people are going to relegate it to the corner.
And 50 naira becomes So to speak, the acceptable,
exactly, which is absolutely wrong. There's absolutely no reason. Part of what the government can do, okay, part of what the government can do is to ensure that a lot of its services that people buy are denominated in coins. And you find out that people must have those coins. First of all, what should happen is that people will go after these coins. And I think, let me tell you one thing, a lot of paradoxes in life. Because of this noise that has been generated, okay, in fact, the CBN is in an opportune moment to ensure that finally the coin policy succeeds. More than ever, the information and the distribution of information, the amount of awareness over this policy is more than has ever been before. Now, if I have my coins in my pocket and I give you and you reject it, you are in trouble. Or if I buy something from you and you're supposed to give me my coins and then there's trouble because I need my money.
The question is, the value of the naira has been eroded for quite some time, for many years now.
Yes.
That what is supporting the value of the naira? People are angry, just like you said, and people are agitated in the sense that when the CBN introduced 5,000 naira, what will the 5,000 naira get for me? That means people on the streets, you know what I'm saying?
Get to that. You know that the first thing they said was, okay, it's going to cause inflation. I've been able to tell you that, look, just introducing that money will not cause inflation. Okay, and then they said it will cause corruption, right? Yes, the people will not be able to pack so much money. Well, I didn't think of it, but I think in part of the CBN's argument, I was able to get the fact that, indeed, most corruption in this country is dollar-denominated. Otedola and Farouk, okay? It was $600,000 or thereabout, dollars, right? Ali Button, Wilbros, all the other corruption, just think of any, are dollar-denominated because people want to move around with that dollar and then... Now, what that means is this, that half of Nigeria's budget is dollarized. If we believe there's corruption in the system and that most of the figures we see, that means that immediately those monies are disbursed, they go into dollar, meaning that Nigerian corruption is twofold. It has a twofold effect on the economy. Number one, not only are sectors deprived, now people deprived of the money that should have been spent for them to improve their lot, but also that corruption puts pressure on the naira and therefore makes us to deplete our reserves.
Now, the introduction of the 5,000 naira, would
now,
it make it any better?
Now, wait, what we're saying is this, that even if we say that people are corrupt, okay, and they therefore need to change, but what they do is that they need to change their naira into dollar in order to be corrupt and to convey the money about. So maybe you give an incentive such that to an extent they don't have to change money into dollar. Then you have solved half of the problem. Or
that means promoting corruption.
Excuse me, I don't know about promoting corruption. What I'm saying is this. It's about pragmatism. Okay, if you're spending 40 billion every year to print currency, okay, you want to do things that will ensure that you reduce it. You cannot solve all your problems in one go. And Nigerians also make this mistake that they think that there's anything. No, you see, life is not a bed of roses. Nothing is going to work for you just in a jiffy like that. Okay? Nobody is promoting corruption, but we're saying that if Nigerians, for one reason or the other, whether for purposes of corruption, of purposes of portability, you move naira into dollar almost all the time, then you want to ensure that, okay, you give an incentive whereby they don't have to convert into dollar. And therefore dollarize the economy. I worked at 13 years as a banker. In all my time, I never saw one from M, neither one NXP form. And from M is an import form. Okay? The NXP form is the export form. That was denominated in naira. None. Absolutely none. As I speak to you, I can assure you, no Nigerian exporter sends goods abroad and says, look, I would like to be paid in the naira. And in fact, some people also mention the fact that the naira devalues, right? I think you mentioned it. But the point is that the dollar also devalues. The dollar also devalues. The euro devalues. The pound devalues. So now if you see that we tend to have lost respect for ourselves and for our own. And that's a very dangerous thing. No matter who the Messiah is, who's going to come and sort this economy out, you understand? First of all, we need to believe in our own. We need to believe in ourselves. If we believe that the naira is rubbish and it always lose value, it will lose value. In fact, that's what I'm coming to. There is a tendency for inflation, which people have not captured. That tendency for inflation will be driven by the culture, right? Okay, already even if you look at the, the cashless policy, there's an inflation aspect to it, whether you like it or not. Cashless policy makes people you're able to spend more easily, right? So if you are attending a party at Owambe over the weekend, and the musician actually, he sings your praises, Nancy is the best in the world, and then by the time you spend all your money, you dash to the ATM and spend some more. That's inflation, more money in circulation, right? Okay? You are sitting in your house with 5,000 naira over the weekend, but you know your cousin that's traveling to wherever decides to branch in your house with 5 children in tow. You have to go to the ATM and withdraw some money. And that's going to take us to the credit system, which I'm beginning to think, do we need to get to that point where we're all into cards and money transfers, online transfer, and then we get to the point like they are in developed countries where everybody spends credit and nobody has savings. If you went to China today, the savings rate in China is 40%. In Nigeria, hardly does 10% of a salary get saved in Nigeria. And now we have given opportunities for you to spend much more easily.
Now,
so there's an inflation aspect to that. But the one that's much more dangerous is what I call a self-fulfilling prophecy. The self-fulfilling prophecy is a term that's used, you know, occasionally in economics. But what I'm saying in this essence is there will be inflation if we say there will be inflation. There will be inflation if we say that as a result of this policy, there will be inflation. Therefore, there will be inflation. Okay? If out of our ignorance or our education, we say, oh, 5,000 policy will bring inflation, then it will bring inflation. Except we change our rhetoric. Okay?
Is it a matter of changing our rhetorics or the dynamics? Hold on, Mr. Fasua. Or the dynamics of, hold on, Mr. Fasua. Good. I've listened to you. Is it a matter about changing the rhetorics or the dynamics of the economy is skewed towards a certain direction? The dynamics of Nigeria's economy is not properly balanced.
Well, how are you going to balance it?
So inflation is more than rhetoric.
Now, it's also
I don't manage
rhetoric.
the inflationary
there will be inflation.
target of the economy, for example, of Nigeria.
If all of the Nigeria, look, an average bus driver doesn't understand economics. Perhaps, I'm saying average. Sorry to say, apologies to those bus drivers who have PhDs in economics because there are a few of them. You know, you can never tell. But the point is, an average bus driver doesn't understand economics.
He understands
but
it
what
in
he
his own
understands
way
is this, that my Madam Nancy has said that there will be inflation when this comes. Therefore, he certainly increases his price. That's how it works. See, let me tell you one thing. You know, we like to blame government. And indeed, yes, okay, if government goes wrong, I'm one person that will say, look, this is wrong. All right? But we also are neglecting our own roles in society. In fact, a government person is not as credible as me and you. Because people say, oh, is any money from government? These people, they have chopped money. But me and you, when we speak on the streets, okay, our country will become what we say we want it to be. That's the way it works. In this policy, if we say there's inflation, even though we're wrong, there's going to be inflation, then there'll be inflation because we have said so. If we enter that bus a day after this policy is enacted, and if we enter the bus and the 30 naira bus drive has become 50 naira, and we generally go back to our houses the way we are in Nigeria, we don't like to fend for each other, and we say, okay, then it becomes inflation.